You're sitting there, maybe sipping your coffee, scrolling through your phone, dreaming about that big win, that moment when you don't have to check your bank account before buying lunch, when you can finally say no to the boss. We've all done it. Stared at lottery numbers like they're ancient runes, hoping, praying, crossing fingers, whispering promises to the universe. But what if I told you someone didn't wait for luck? What if I told you one man didn't pray, didn't guess, didn't pick his mom's birthday or his dog's weight, but instead used math to win the lottery? Not once, not twice, 14 times, 14. And he did it all legally. If you're enjoying about lottery history, leaving a like and subscribing would really help the channel grow and means more wild facts coming soon. Meet Stefan Mandel, a Romanian economist living under a communist regime in the 1960s, earning the grand total of $85 a month while inflation chewed through his paycheck like a starving raccoon. He wasn't rich, he wasn't connected, but he was brilliant, and he figured out something no one else did. That randomness has rules, and rules can be beaten. See, lotteries are supposed to be random. That's the whole point. Pick 6 numbers, hope they match, win millions. But Mandel knew better. He studied probability theory like it was the Holy Grail. And one day, he had a breakthrough. If you cover every possible combination, you don't need luck, you guarantee a win. For a 640 lottery, that's about 3.8 million combinations. Back then, tickets cost $1, so if the jackpot was over $4 million, you could technically spend $3.8 million to win more than that. It's not magic. It's arithmetic. But who has nearly $4 million to blow on lottery tickets? Mandel didn't. So he waited. He moved to Australia, and in 1987, the stars aligned. The Australian lottery jackpot hit $1.3 million. The number of possible combinations? Just 1.8 million. Mandel saw the equation. 1.8 million in tickets could win $1.3 million. Wait, that doesn't add up. But here's what he knew. Smaller prizes, second tier, third tier wins. When you own every combination, you don't just win the jackpot. You win hundreds of thousands in secondary prizes too. Suddenly, the math made sense. So he recruited investors, promised them a cut, and launched the world's first legal lottery syndicate built not on hope, but on brute force calculation. Now, how do you actually buy 1.8 million tickets? You don't walk into a 7-Eleven and say, "You'll take all of them." No, Mandel turned it into a factory. He hired college students, gave them templates, printed slips in bulk. They fed them into lottery machines across dozens of stores. It took weeks, but by draw day, every single combination was accounted for. Then, silence. The numbers were drawn. Hours passed. No word. Then the call came. They'd won. First prize. And dozens of secondary prizes. Total haul, $1.3 million after expenses and investor payouts. Mandel walked away with about $97,000. Not bad, for a guy who started with nothing. And here's the wildest part. It was 100% legal. No tampering, no rigging, just exploiting a loophole in the system's design. Authorities were furious but powerless. There was no law against buying every ticket, so Mandel did it again. And again. By the early 90s, he'd won 14 lotteries across Australia and the US, raking in millions. But the system started fighting back. States changed rules, capped ticket purchases, required digital entries. Mandel's golden era was ending, but not before his boldest move yet in Virginia. It was 1992. The Virginia State Lottery jackpot, $28 million odds, 1 in 7 million, ticket price $1. Mandel looked at the numbers and saw profit. Even after splitting with investors, the return was massive. But buying 7 million tickets manually? Impossible. So he did something unprecedented. He founded a company international lotto fund and raised $7 million from 2,500 investors. Then he partnered with a licensed lottery retailer who could print bulk tickets. For weeks, machines ran non-stop. 7 million slips, each with a unique combination. The night before the draw, the last batch was delivered. Then panic. The state realized what was happening. Too late. The tickets were in. The draw went ahead. Mandel won, clean, legal, but Virginia refused to pay. They claimed bulk purchasing violated terms. Lawsuit followed. Months passed. Then a judge ruled no laws were broken. The state had to pay $28 million. After fees, taxes, and investor cuts, Mandel cleared around $30 million. But the win came at a price. The U.S. government launched an investigation. The SEC got involved. And Mandel was charged not for fraud, not for rigging, but for running an unlicensed lottery. He served 20 months in prison, not for cheating the system, for failing to file paperwork. The irony, thicker than a Vegas buffet. After prison, Mandel disappeared, moved to a quiet island in the Pacific, lived out of the spotlight. But his legacy? It reshaped lotteries forever. Today, most lotteries ban bulk purchases, require digital entries, use algorithms to detect suspicious buying patterns, all because of one man with a calculator and a dream. But here's the real question. Could this happen again? Not the way Mandel did it. The systems are too tight now, but the idea that you can beat randomness with math, that's still alive. In fact, it's everywhere. Every time you see a lucky number, a pattern in the stars, or a hot streak at the casino, your brain is trying to find order in chaos. Mandel didn't play that game. He removed luck from the equation. He didn't hope. He calculated. And that's what made him dangerous, not to people, but to the system. Because the truth is, lotteries aren't designed for winners. They're designed for losers. For every jackpot, there are hundreds of millions of losing tickets. That's how states fund schools, roads, and public programs. Mandel exposed the flaw. The game only works if people play randomly. When someone plays with a plan, the house blinks. And that's why they changed the rules. Not because he cheated, because he played too well. Was he a hero? A cheat? To lottery officials, a menace. To his investors, a genius. To the average player, maybe both. He didn't steal. He didn't lie. He used the rules exactly as they were written. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Lotteries are a regressive tax. Poor people play more. They dream bigger. And when someone like Mandel walks away with $30 million, it feels like the little guy got played again. But should we blame Mandel or the system that let it happen? Because in the end, he didn't create the loophole. He found it. And once he did, he used it, just like any smart investor would. Today, Stefan Mandel lives in silence. No interviews, no memoirs, just peace. But his story echoes in every conversation about probability, risk, and the illusion of chance. He proved that with enough patience, planning, and cold logic, you can beat two, a system designed to keep you losing. Was it ethical? Debatable? Was it brilliant? Undeniable. And while you won't be buying 7 million lottery tickets, the lesson remains, don't just play the game. Understand it. Question it. Look for the cracks, because sometimes the biggest wins don't come from luck, they come from asking, what if? Could you pull off a Mandel-style win today? Not with lotteries. The odds in Powerball are 1 in 292 million. Tickets cost $2, so to cover every combo, you'd need $584 million. And jackpots rarely go that high. Plus, digital systems, centralized draws, fraud detection, it's over. Mandel's method is extinct. But the spirit, alive and well. Think about crypto mining in its early days when a single GPU could mint thousands in Bitcoin. Or high-frequency trading, where algorithms exploit microsecond delays in stock markets to make millions. Or sports betting syndicates that use AI to predict outcomes with uncanny accuracy. These are all modern versions of the same idea. Find a pattern, exploit it, profit. The tools change. The math stays the same. The next Mandel might not be buying lottery tickets. He might be training a neural network to predict market swings, or cracking betting algorithms, or reverse engineering supply chain inefficiencies to corner a niche market. The game has evolved, but the mind that beats it? Still out there. And here's the twist. Mandel wasn't the only one. In the 1990s, a group of MIT students discovered a flaw in the Massachusetts cash windfall lottery. When the jackpot rolled down, the expected value flipped, meaning buying more tickets became profitable. For years, they quietly bought hundreds of thousands of tickets, netting millions. They weren't breaking the law. They were just smarter than the system. just like Mandel. Or consider the Romanian mathematician who used statistical analysis to win over $1 million across European lotteries, not by buying every combo, but by identifying underrepresented number, patterns, and optimizing entry timing. Same principle, different flavor. These aren't outliers. They're proof that systems built on randomness are vulnerable to those who understand probability. And that brings us to the deeper truth. Every system has a flaw. Every game has a backdoor. Every rule book has a loophole. The question isn't whether it exists, it's whether you're willing to do the work to find it. So here's the takeaway. Stefan Mandel didn't win because he was lucky. He won because he was prepared, because he saw what others ignored, because he asked, what if? And maybe, just maybe, your next big break isn't in a lottery ticket. It's in your next decision. It's in the 3 a.m. calculation, the overlooked spreadsheet, the stubborn refusal to accept that just how it works. Mandel didn't chase dreams. He built them line by line, ticket by ticket, equation by equation. He didn't beat the odds. He redefined them. If this story blew your mind, hit that like button. It helps more than you think. Thanks for watching.